Sherry, you have explained that the thing that you're most reluctant about going from audio, where we record the Untoxicated podcast, to video is that you'll feel self conscious about your appearance on the video.
Yeah.
I think you look lovely, by
Oh,
the way.
thanks. All I'm gonna do is fidget with my hair and
You're right. But
face.
so self consciousness is your worry. And then right before we hit the record button, you pointed out to me that I turned my shirt around backwards so that the logo that's on the front of the shirt wouldn't show, and that I look like I'm wearing a mock turtleneck, is exactly what you said. Oh, so I see we're worried about your self consciousness and not mine. Now I see that you can actually see the tag through the. So white's a good choice. White's always a good choice for me.
Always a good choice.
Mr. Sloppy over here. Anyway, so
sorry, I didn't mean to say anything. It's just pretty apparent in the camera.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well.
At least you don't have chest hair coming up out of it.
Yeah, that protects me from chest hair exposure. That's good. Well, so self-consciousness, that's actually a pretty good lead in. What we're going to talk about today, we challenged our folks in our Echoes of Recovery group to write a letter to themselves about how they feel about themselves, how they treat themselves. It's commonly known in the psychological world, right, that people are typically more hard on themselves than they'll ever be on another person, or that any other person will ever be on them. We're just really hard on ourselves. And so Kelly, one of our Echoes of Recovery participants, someone that we've grown to really love over the many months that we've been working with her now, she's a great writer. And she wrote a letter to herself, challenge accepted, where she really gaslights herself and she goes through all of her insecurities that she feels. Kelly is sadly working through the process of a divorce with her husband. And so these are the things that are going through her head about how she got into this situation where she's sadly in divorce proceedings. Sherry, would you read the letter that Kelly wrote to herself?
Sure. Dear me, I think your intentions have always been good, but you seem to sow the seeds of doubt and raise that skinny, pointy finger in my direction often. You've made lots of assumptions and accusations, like maybe the drinking isn't that bad and you're too strict, too cold, too boring. He may not have asked for the divorce if you just tried to love him more. Did you even offer a hug, a hand, an ear? It's true, when he stopped drinking for 100 days, you didn't even once tell him how great he was doing. Would it have been so hard just to do that once? How has his drinking really hurt you? He hasn't abused you. He has a great job. He has made bids for affection, and you've ignored them. I mean, we all drink. It's normal. It's fun. Just because you're a lightweight doesn't mean you get to analyze everyone else. Maybe you don't belong in recovery. Maybe his drinking isn't as bad as it seems. I bet there are people way worse off, and you're just making a big deal of something and losing your marriage and family over it. He's going to get sober once you're divorced and live a happy life with someone else who isn't as critical. She'll be kind and beautiful with a sweet yet vibrant personality. He will truly be happy once he's not dealing with you anymore. Or he may not get sober, and he'll find this amazing woman who doesn't care, and they'll have the fairy tale. You just didn't fight long enough or hard enough. You will never find love or connection again. It will just be dogs. You will be the dog lady. These are not the thoughts of my head. These are the thoughts of my heart.
That distinction at the end is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly's an extremely intelligent person, and on a conscious level, I know she can work through each of those points and know that they aren't true because of how hard she tried, all the effort she put in. She gathered resources, she did everything she could to help her husband find sobriety and to bring reconciliation in the marriage. And so consciously she knows that none of this is true, but our hearts lie to us. Mm-hmm. Our hearts make us blame ourselves. I'm curious, Sherry, you're pretty darn good at detachment. Did you have any kind of self-doubts like this?
Oh, yeah. Like, there were several times that you quit drinking for extended periods of time, no recovery, no work involved other than just quitting drinking. But when you would still mope around the house and talk about how you don't feel any better, you know, I thought when you went back to drinking, gosh, if I had maybe just been a little nicer, offered support, been a little bit more distracted or distractive to you so you weren't thinking about it,
Yeah.
like really amped up the good parts of our life and really over exaggerated that to make you, feel better. Like those were things that I like kind of that ran through my head, and I wouldn't say I took like ownership in the failure part of going back to drinking, but I did like think, oh, what was my part in it? What was my role?
Well, and we know now that wouldn't have worked for me or for you. You needed the detachment to get away from the toxicity of both my active alcoholism and my moping around in early sobriety. It's not your job to fix that. You have to protect yourself and protect the kids.
Yeah.
And so any kind of, over functioning that you might have done to try to make me feel better would have taken away some of the consequences. And I needed the consequences. I needed to be miserable so that I could work through that and find health in long-term sobriety. I think it's really interesting that Kelly points out that her spouse tried 100 days of sobriety and nothing got better. 100 days, that isn't even like the ante in the game, man. That's not enough. You mentioned I had a couple of 6-month stints and a 9-month stint of sobriety, and my dopamine was still hijacked. I was still all screwed up and I was still miserable, and I hadn't come around yet. It takes over a year for just some of the chemical stuff that's going on to start to rewire itself, and a lot longer for any kind of relationship recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So 100 days, that's not even paying the price of entry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you relate to the fact that Kelly wants to be the dog lady, or thinks that she'll be resigned to being the dog lady?
I think that most of us that have gone through an addictive relationship, especially long term, we're just kind of done with taking a chance again.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, and it's sad, but I can relate to just being like, nope, just me and my fuzzy animals, and
You'd be the cat lady. I'd like to say that I'd be replaced by the cats, but the cats are already above me in the pecking order, so there's no replacement.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how many cats
You can
I would
confirm
go.
that.
I
didn't say you have to have a million cats.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the cats would be there.
There would
sure.
be animals for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe not all cats.
Yeah. So listen, get yourself some fur babies, love on them, treat yourself with respect. Don't buy any of this crap you're selling yourself, because we know Kelly's not alone. We know Kelly represents the vast majority of people who are hard on themselves and full of self-doubt. The bottom line is, believe your brain over your heart in a situation like this, and convince your heart to love yourself, because that's what it's all about.